You need to try seducing people more.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, a weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Dicer, and this week I'm joined by fellow Bafflegabbers Ian Whittington.
That's me.
And Deneé Hughes.
Still not fired. We
write for CinemaSins, TV Sins, Commercial Sins, and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universe as well. How's everybody doing on this fine day? This fine day?
Going on a trip on my favorite rocket ship because I got a new one, and I'm going to keep mentioning my new Star Trek ship that I got because I'm so happy and I love it.
Was that Little Einsteins?
I have no idea. I've just seen it memed a lot. I don't know what it's
Einsteins. Little Einsteins. Okay. Yeah, my boys used to watch. I didn't know. I didn't think that was your generation, like growing up.
Oh, of course not.
So I was kind of confused, like how you knew Little Einsteins.
I wouldn't, because even my tenure at Toys R Us would have been before Little Einsteins started, I think.
Yeah, like
what's Little Einstein?
Little Einstein, Backyardigans, like that was my boys' era of grow up TV. Like,
yeah, Backyardigans merch. I remember that, but again, I was definitely too old.
Yeah. I used to copy from TV DVR to computer to DVD. I used to burn I used to burn DVDs of the Backyardigans for my boys to watch on trips when we would take like long road trips and stuff. Oh, that's
amazing.
So, yeah.
Record, burn, rip. No, record, rip, burn.
Yeah. And the ripping is just getting it from the DVR to the
PC.
To the computer. Yeah. But yeah, it was, man, those days. Now everything's just streaming. Like, you know, I usually had to put stuff on actual physical media, guys. It's that used to be a thing.
I used to have to, get this. I had a Walkman with cassettes, and I would record from either the radio or a CD onto the cassette because writable CDs were too expensive. So I would write all of my favourite songs from CDs onto a mixed cassette and make my own mixtape.
Oh, nothing better than an intro to BTS that's a world intro. Let's get into it.
Made a mixtape for a girl.
Well, I think everybody's done that, right? I mean, at least everybody.
Not this generation.
Sure, they have.
Not this side of 2000.
They just call it a playlist.
Yeah, just a playlist.
Yeah, they just call it a playlist.
Never done that ever.
Well, I mean, okay, fair enough. Maybe it is a generational thing.
You need to try seducing people more.
I still have the mixtapes I made for Jen, my wife.
What a dork.
I still have them. And I actually made playlists of those mixtapes for her to listen to. So yeah,
that's really
fun stuff.
I love
it. Okay, on to the SinSide Scoop. Let's do it.
What's he building in there?
I've got a secret.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at the videos from the week, the process of sending them, how we felt about the stuff we are sending in general. Commercial sins, Kia Forte, Hotbots is the name of the commercial, because I guess they're hot robots.
What you think it is.
It's exactly what you think. Jonathan writing on this one. I thought this was hilarious. This is one of the funniest commercial sins videos I've ever seen. I really enjoyed this. Ian, what are some of your thoughts?
I actually know this advert. I remember it.
Oh, yeah.
I remember it coming out and watching it and thinking, that's weird. It's really odd. My favourite part was calling all of the different robots different favourite celebrities, because the first two times I thought, no, they actually have hired those celebrities to do it, haven't they? Yeah. And then it just keeps getting more and more obscure.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
I love No Dick Rick, and then No Dick Rick survives this.
I had that one down too.
It's so great.
I did too.
It is so funny. I don't know what Kinko's is, by the way.
Kinko's?
It's an office supply store.
It used
the Kinko
to be,
shade.
It's like I think they're closed now. I haven't seen a Kinko's
in
forever,
Office
but
Max or
they were like where you could go make copies of paper back in the day. So if you had to go make a copy something or print something up, they were a big printer for you.
UPS stores, FedEx stores, they kind of fulfill that purpose now. Like if people don't have their own way to do that kind of stuff, like you can usually do that at like a store like that. But yeah, so Kinko's kind of went away in a lot of ways. But yeah, no, I also really enjoyed that run of the Kinko stuff. Just the fact, I don't know that I've ever I don't remember ever seeing this, where we admit that we're sinning not the thing we're sinning, and then do another sin even more tangentially related that doesn't even have to do with the thing that technically that we weren't sinning. But it now makes sense because it's a running joke.
Right, yes, it's so my favourite thing about commercial sins is that it's now become a running gag to be as obscure as possible inside the commercial.
Yeah, because you're dealing with like 60 seconds of content to send. Like, you're going to have to be a little out there. Yeah, totally.
15 or 30. Some of the commercials I've been looking at, they're 15 seconds long. And I remember when I send one, and I spent way too much time on a 15-second commercial because I kept thinking, there's gotta be more in here somewhere. It's like
you already have 30 sins. That's 2 sins a second.
A tenth of a second's gone by and I haven't thought of something new, and I'm like, I'm failing. Oh my god! It's like, it's a 15-second commercial. You're not gonna have that much.
Yeah,
it's so funny that sin brain when that kicks in. It was like, if I was sinning every second of a movie, I would be there for years. Like, it's weird how it's scaled.
It is interesting, and this is a little bit of behind the scenes, but there's which imagine that on a show like this. But there's this thing that we all do. I think every one of us does it to some degree, which is when you're sending longer content, the first chunk of that content is like, boom, 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 heavy, like get stuff. So because there's this thing in your brain that's like, I want to make sure I've got enough, so I better make sure I've got 30 sins in the first 15 minutes. Yeah, right.
And then I can breathe for the next hour.
Yeah. I don't think like that. I don't think in terms of like, I've got to have enough for the thing. Mine is just like, I'm just thinking of it. And it might be because as the movie goes on, I get less activated, which is why I've been thinking about moving to Chris's method, how he writes. And we all have different kind of ways of writing. I will sit down and watch it in one big chunk, and then I'll sit down and watch it in one big chunk again. And it takes me a long time, and maybe breaking things down a little bit more would be smarter, because when I first sit down to write is when I just write a lot. So I don't usually think about it in time, but I know you guys do.
Yeah, there's just this thing that happens where it's front loaded. And I do think part of that is also the fact that you've already sinned some things in the beginning that happen throughout, so you don't sin them again. So like stuff is continuing to happen, but you don't want to just keep continuing to sin it in the same way. So,
but if the movie has progressed 5 minutes and you have 70 sins, it's a little bit too much. It's just maybe sometimes a little bit too much.
I think that's fair.
I agree. This commercial was so fun. I really, really had a good time. I had a lot of good chuckles on this one. I don't remember this commercial at all, though, and it was really intriguing to me because I think the robot looks really beautiful, and I like how the segmented arms and legs and stuff. So I kind of just want to watch the commercial just to see into this little world. Commercials are really interesting like that. They create these little pockets, these little universes to capture your attention so that you can pay attention to obviously what they're selling. But I love how creative some of them are. Some of them are absolutely just dumb. But and Kia is not my favorite. Like, I don't enjoy Kia as a company because I have a personal problem with them, because the first car I ever bought for myself was a Kia, and it was a POS. And I had so many problems with it, and I swore I would never buy a Kia again. I was like, this is the worst car I've ever had. Now, Kia maybe was like their first, it was like they were in the first 5 years of production. So we're talking like they also didn't have their shit together as a company maybe at the time. I don't know. But it was a horrible car. So anytime I see Kia commercials, I'm instantly a little shady about it anyway. Yeah. But I liked the universe. So I had this like really interesting experience watching this one, but this was really, really, really fun.
Jen has a Kia now, and it seems to be working for her all right. Don't they also do the one that I like because it has more headroom? Is it the Soul? Is it the Soul that has all the headroom? Like, it's like a boxy
the boxy one?
Yeah. Yeah.
I genuinely know more about Star Trek vehicles than I do human vehicles.
I don't know much about cars either. It was funny. This is a total aside, and that's fine because we do that on the show. But my oldest son got a new job, and we were like, oh, hey, what are you doing for this job? He's like, oh, check this out. We're rebuilding engines. We're like, we go in, we take engines apart, we rebuild them. And my response was, are you a dicer? Like, nobody in our family has ever been into, cars in any kind of...
When did you pick up that skill?
It's like, what is this?
Yeah, but look at your wife. Like,
yes,
Jen,
correct.
She is amazing.
Correct.
She will take things apart and put them back together to save $150.
Absolutely.
Like I can buy this one thing for $10 and I can fix an entire machine.
Yeah.
She's so brilliant like that.
Yeah, she loves doing that kind of stuff. So that's what I chalked it up to. It's just like, oh, you've got the Kyle genes in you. So a week later, he quits his job. He's like, I am not interested in this.
So
this is
funny.
terrible. This is horrible. I'm like, oh, you are a dicer.
Cars.
Okay, fair enough.
Welcome back to the fold.
Okay. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this one as well. And I had a good time. All right, let's move on to TV sins. Hey, let's finish up the first season of Stranger Things. The Upside Down. What a run. What a sprint.
Heck yeah.
To get Stranger Things season 1 done. The Upside Down was a Dicer Whittington script. Ian and I writing on this one. Ian, I'll let you kick us off again. What are some of your thoughts now that we've kind of finished off this final episode?
Yeah, I'm kind of glad to be done. There is something about, obviously we had the goal of getting this done before the new season came out. So it was a sprint and we worked our butts off. We love our jobs, but it is still work, and we worked our butts off to get this done. I as a complete series, I really, really like it. The cliffhangery stuff felt a little bit, hey, we'll leave this open for season 2. There's no reason for 11 to sacrifice herself, really. If we're being honest, it's like you've done far more ridiculous things. You didn't have to endgame Infinity blip yourself to finish off this Demogorgon. Thingy Dustin continues to be incredible. Me and Aaron wrote the same sin removal for the same second, almost word for word the same thing. Just Dustin fucking rules.
He's just this moment where he's just so excited about the chocolate pudding.
I've got the chocolate!
He's like, I found the chocolate pudding!
It's so great.
It's the best.
But it's the biggest challenge was always, I haven't watched this in 5 or 6 years or whenever it came out. Am I sending something that is actually consistent that I've just screwed up because I've been speed watching and not taking notes? So and the comments are always very kind and correct us very politely and give us all of the grace in the world when we screw something up. I think the easiest thing to sin was as soon as they did a zoom in on the gun and Thingy loading up the bullets, I was like, you went to all of that trouble spelling out how many bullets are in this gun. I guarantee you will fire 70 instead of 6. And lo and behold, she unloads. I was even thinking I'm going to have to sin this where I explained that, okay, maybe she could have reloaded, but we don't see her do it. I didn't even need to do that. It is 9 shots back to back.
No time to reload.
Even if there's one in the barrel, which that's not how that gun works. There's still 2. There's still 2 that apparate out of thin air.
Yeah.
It's so great. And the absolute, I don't know if many people will get this joy, but the joy of seeing something in a classroom like a periodic table, speculating that there's no way they got a 1984 accurate periodic table in that classroom and being correct.
Yeah.
That one is from the earliest it can be from is 2010. So easy to prove because the thing that was on there was discovered in 2010.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's beautiful to. I don't know why that's so beautiful. It's such a nitpicky thing to do, but it breaks the universe, and that's what we're here to do.
It's
not here to do that. We're here to find when they do it.
I mean, I had the exact same thing with the CPR stuff in this episode, where it was just that is clearly how we do CPR now. It is not how we did CPR in the 80s. Nobody was counting to 30 between breaths in the 80s.
Nope.
And then clearly they're showing, they're doing CPR on his daughter, and then they show her flatline. If you're doing CPR before somebody flatlines, you're doing it wrong. That is
that heart is going by definition.
You don't need to be,
unless that's hooked up to the wrong person.
That's
you're
right.
doing it wrong.
That's right. So yeah, stuff like that is always there's just something beautiful about you really screwed that one up. Let's just bring it
beautiful.
To the attention.
It's so great. You don't have to find the sin. It's just this was filmed in 2012.
Yeah.
And here's why.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, I also wanted to mention just the counting of the bullets and using the count from Sesame Street to really drive home how easy it is to count to 9. You know, guys, just really easy to count to 9.
The number of the day
is 9. So, yeah, lots of fun. Deneé, some of your thoughts on finishing up this Stranger Things run?
Yeah, this is an interesting kind of behind the scenes stuff on this is I didn't understand the count one at all. So I was reviewing this one and looking over the script and I was like, I don't get it. But if you guys have a vision for it, okay. And then to see it in the final and sort of like, oh, here's what you're going for. Sometimes we, it's such a creative moment in our minds and it's relaying it in the notes of the script and then to the editors, and the editors have to interpret it, and then we go through revisions with that sometimes to get those to come to life. And I thought that came out really, really well. But yeah, the other things I remember from writing this one or reviewing it / looking it over with you guys was the sending the lights. There was a sin that I was reading the script and it was for the trunk. Like more light bulb sins because there's so much just lighting in this one.
Oh yes, the uplighting from the trunk of the car.
Yeah. And because we were reviewing these so closely for the same reasons as we've mentioned every time, which is that it's been a long time since we've kind of revisited this, and we had already previously written some sins. I remembered that sin, and so I was going back and trying to find it because I thought we've actually written this before, and because we're thinking in those seasonal videos where we're going to try to put them all together in one longer video for people to enjoy as well. If we have the same sin twice, it might stand out more in a video like that.
And we've had that. The Rick and Morty video has 2 fruit on the lower shelf sins, and I think it's the season 1 video, and 2 sins of the golf poster that are fairly similar. And it is something we want to start to try pay attention to because we put these season, videos together. Yeah, that was a good catch.
It becomes easier because of how we catalog our work, like our scripts and how we store them and how we're able to search through those documents for similar things. So it's become even more important for us to pay attention to those things and be able to not only do quick searches for phrases or phraseology that might be similar, but also to go back and go, how is that one worded again when we have run-on sins like the hair one, which I really love because that's a fun one. That one and the lettering for the Duffer Brothers and things like that. Those become really important things to try to consistently do. So I thought that was really, really fun. I also really like the sin about the pulling the thing out of the kid's mouth. I was really glad to see that one in there because when I remember watching the finale, and I remember very few things from the finale. I remember there being way too much flashing lights. Which I'm glad we sinned because it's my least favorite part of this finale. It's so much environmental chaos with the lighting. It relies so heavily on the lights just blinking in and out. I think so that this Demogorgon, I know it builds intensity, but it leans on it so heavily that it's so distracting. It's far too distracting. I don't like watching the finale for that reason alone. I did not enjoy watching it.
It will be unwatchable to some people. Some people will not be able to sit through that.
Yeah.
No, and it goes on for all of the sometime. So yeah, I'm really glad that we did this one. It was fun to put together and be able to turn around and, people can kind of go back and remember what season 1 was about through the sinning lens before getting into new content coming out.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's move on to the Orville. This was also a Dicer Whittington script. Ian and I writing on this one as well.
A long while ago.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
In a galaxy far away.
If I remember correctly, I think Ian was very new with us when we wrote the Orville. And I believe it was coming out on the schedule. And I think Ian said, if I'm not writing on this one, I'm quitting. I think
I suggested it. I suggested sinning Orville ahead of season 3 coming out. And I said, I've suggested it and I will be sinning it as well.
That's what it was.
I must be on this.
There was like a demand.
It will shock nobody that I am sinning the Orville.
So I'll kick us off on this one. And yes, it's been sitting around because they changed the release date of season 3. And we wanted to release it closer to when season 3 starts, which is next week. I think season 3 drops its first episode finally. So it has been sitting around for a little bit. Ian and I wrote on this one. I love the Orville. I've watched every episode. I'm excited to see season 3 for a lot of the same reasons that I am now loving Strange New Worlds. The Orville is a better Star Trek show for that week to week. What's the alien? What's the, problem we're solving than Star Trek has done in a long time. And so this is a show that isn't a Star Trek show, but is a Star Trek show. And it's very clear.
Absolutely.
And in fact, I think we even had conversation, Deneé, early on where you're like, there's way too many Star Trek references in this. And we're like, no, this is a Star Trek show. Like, it is asking for those references.
We kind of need to.
So
there are less in there than we started
that is
with.
true. We did cut some of them. So
But there are some times when like a running gag in a script makes a lot of sense and it's really fun to see, and there's like a payoff for it. And then there's some where like you don't really get the payoff the same way. And if it's just like pointing out a reference, but there's nothing stringing those references together that unites them except for just being a Star Wars thing, it doesn't feel as intelligent as it could. And that's what I'm saying about that.
no,
Because
that stank face is not about your point. It's because you accidentally called it Star Wars.
Oh, I did. That's funny.
You made a valid point until you said Star Wars. No, I
Sorry about
switched
that.
off.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's just gonna happen. Mostly because I don't care.
I really, along those lines, I loved the fact that all the outtakes were Star Trek outtakes.
Yes, I know.
So great.
Guys are just.
Well, if I can't have my references in the script, I'm going to put them in the damn outtakes.
I'm going to put them all in the outtakes. Ian, you're up next. What are some of your thoughts about this one?
I like this show. I do not by any means love it. It is 100% Star Trek light, and I loved it when season 1 came out because I'm going to come off like I don't like Discovery. I do like Discovery, but it's not my favourite type of Star Trek. And this came out when Discovery was in its second season, I think, and was extremely heavy. And it is a bit of a reaction to Discovery, and that it's way more TNG. My only problem was that it's too TNG light. It's too much like rejected Family Guy jokes, and it's more interested in some of the toilet humor and making the easy jokes than being a sci-fi show. If it just dug into the adventures week to week, then I'd think I'd be into it a lot more. But then again, I have Strange New Worlds for that, so I don't need to worry. It just felt a little bit lost to me in wanting Seth MacFarlane wanting to indulge in some fan fiction along with using Seth MacFarlane humor as well, which I don't generally get on with.
The rumor, if I can interject, the rumor is that MacFarlane didn't want it to be as funny as it is, that he wanted it to be a little more serious, but that the network was like, oh, no, you do funny shows.
Oh, I believe
the
that.
jokes. More jokes, please. Yeah.
I absolutely believe Fox saying, yeah, we'll do this, but you have to do this, because we cancelled Firefly, and we don't like actual sci-fi. Fuck you, Fox. Ruining 2 shows for me.
Yeah.
We'll never forgive them. Yeah, just not. I like the direction that season 3 seems to think that it's going to be going in, but we'll see when it happens. But yeah, I had so much fun with the Star Trek references. There are 12 references in total. Points if you can find and name them all. Some of those are in the outtakes, but I think there are 7 in the script and 5 in the outtakes, and I had like 20 to begin with. But I just whittled it down to my favourite 50% of that. And I really enjoyed breaking the skip button as well, because the route that this pilot chose to go was huge relationship
so
drama.
Much relationship.
And that is what we skip. It was just interstellar skip. Far too much of it didn't keep me.
Yeah. Deneé, any thoughts?
Yeah. And so does the chat. They want to know when BTS became Captain's Pod. When BTS became a spinoff of Captain's
show,
Pod.
yes.
When did the Sins team start live recording Captain's Pod? Is this the first one? So yeah.
Amazing.
I really enjoyed the skip button on Orville because it became that like interstellar skip. That's the tying together. That really made the skips makes sense. I remember rereading this one a few days ago going, God, we put too many skips in this. Oh, we were doing something.
There we go.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we were doing something here. It's just been a long time since I've looked at it.
Yeah.
But I think I really enjoyed the script a lot, and I enjoyed watching the Orville. It made me laugh again. I watched it when it first came out, and remember like laughing, but not being interested enough to continue watching. I feel the same way now. Right.
100%.
I had some laughs that I didn't expect, but it's not my style of show. It kind of feels like sketch comedy. Like if Saturday Night Live was to do an entire night that's dedicated to start
it kind of feels like that. Nice.
Good save.
Nice. Well done.
Thank you. Where each scene is kind of like the next gag, the next thing, and you got the people coming together and they're kind of like still reading the teleprompter a little bit, but you're fine with it. So there's like a little bit of that, but there was also enough Star Trek that I was really excited to see something similar. So, but there was not anything to draw me in for the next one. So there were the relationship that they have together, like the comedy that the crew is starting to develop, the relationship and the kind of the back and forth that they're starting to develop, especially between, I don't remember their names, but it's the people that are kind of like driving the ship.
Oh, I've seen all the episodes and I can't remember the names, but I know who
and they have like the soda that's on the console or whatever. Like those two guys.
Can we drink on the bridge?
Yeah, on the bridge. They're like at the foremost front of the screen when you're looking or the scenery or the set. Those two I find to be really fun and would probably watch them again. But even like the female leads, I really didn't feel like something drawing me in. But it was fun to read you got the things that you found wrong with this universe, especially given how much knowledge you guys have of Star Trek. You specifically, Ian. I knew it was going to be fun for that. I think I
had so much.
One of my favorite sins was the stairwell one, the staircase one. Like, why are there stairs on this? That was
so
a really fun one for me to read because I was incredibly frustrated by that. This actually, I think after watching this episode with you guys was when we had a discussion about carpet on a spaceship. It was one of our first conversations about carpet on spaceship. Because I remember being like, why is it carpeted? Anyway,
Just impractical. Doesn't seem practical at all. There's always blood and bits flying everywhere. It's going to get burnt.
It's not going to be great.
And gooped. Especially when you meet one of the crew members that is a literal blob of jelly.
I really enjoyed the blob of jelly character.
Yaffet. You won't as the series progresses, I predict.
Yeah, I don't know.
Voiced by the late great Norm Macdonald, I believe. Yeah. That was Scott Grimes as Gordon Malloy and Jay Lee as John Lamar are the two that you're talking about. And I agree, those two are really fun together. And Scott Grimes is hilarious in this show. I think he is. That scene where he's in the holodeck and he's like talking to like the warrior buddy friend or whatever. Like, it just slays me. It just slays me.
So funny.
Yeah.
He's like, this is my guy. And he just decapitates him.
Yeah.
Hollow victories.
Yes. All right. I think we move into CinemaSins. Another one that's been sitting
oh my goodness.
on the runway for a long time, ready to launch off the battleship. Top Gun finally coming to theaters and finally coming to CinemaSins. I'm calling this an Atkinson Cardoso Whittington script. This was during, speaking of the tryout process, this was during when you guys were doing scripts together with us, and Top Gun was one of those scripts. So what's it feel like to go back in time, Ian?
Man, it's so strange. So this was the third script that I ever wrote for main channel. So it's Wonder Woman, then Soul, and then this. This was the first one when I kind of I emailed Deneé and I was like, are you sure? Because my first question was, why are they making us do a video that they've already done? Why are we writing a script that's already on the channel? Because I couldn't believe you hadn't done Top Gun yet. And then when I realized you hadn't done Top Gun, I was like, are they sure they want us to write on it? Like, it felt like a huge movie to entrust to the new people. But yeah, and this was about this was a year ago. Almost like to the week, like a year and 1 month, I think. So it's so strange. I don't know that the way I write has changed much, other than I remember spending like 3.5 weeks writing this. It was like obviously in evenings while at work at the same time, but I spent so much time just trying to get every detail right. And it doesn't matter because the YouTube comments have ripped this one apart for all of the factual inaccuracy. But no, I definitely remember this is the first time I really felt pressure to get a video right, because it was such a big movie, and there was the kind of the guide rails had kind of come off. So either your sins are going to get used or they're not. There's not going to be a lot of coaching and editing on stuff. But no, I loved it. My favourite part was I was very brave and decided to mess with the sin counter, who got very, very thirsty during the volleyball scene, and the narrator tries to add a sin, but Cinny removes one. Wait a minute, did you remove a sin? Then removes some more. I was like, right, you're going to keep removing sins, so let's just call it a wash. And I love that, making Cinny the sin counter a little bit thirsty for all the men.
This is I had this in my notes as well, and I think this is a good time to do a little more behind the scenes on Cinny. Because it has evolved over time, and I think we're kind of landing in a place now that is important to kind of acknowledge. But the very first time that I know of that we ever called the sin counter Cinny was the South Park video, where it was like, oh no, they killed Cinny, and it was because it rhymed with Kenny, right? Like, so it was like, that's kind of how we named it. And then there started to be kind of this legend that grew around Cinny the sin counter. And like that there were separate names for the different channels. I think Sinsworth was mentioned for CinemaSins, and I don't know if we ever named, Sinsington or whatever for commercial sins or whatever. But I like more that Cinny is doing the work of all the channels. I like the idea that Cinny is kind of our mascot in some ways, and is actually
the master.
Yeah, and is our master. Yes, because I have this interesting idea. I want this to be real. Maybe someday we'll make this real. Maybe I shouldn't say it in a live format. Maybe I should save this for because this is
hold it.
Maybe I'll hold it. Yeah. Maybe I'll hold it.
Hold it.
All
Write
right,
it down.
I've got this creative idea.
Are you gonna forget?
Oh no, I'm not gonna forget.
No.
So
Okay,
a little tease
then.
for something that may never happen. But
This is great.
just great content. I'm sure you're loving
Not at all
But
frustrating.
it has to do with the fact that Cinny is becoming a real character on the channels in a way that I find interesting. And this is another example of it. And the idea that we now know for sure, we kind of knew based on things that the narrators do and say, Cinny is clearly bisexual or pansexual. Like, Cinny, Cinny's thirsty.
Cinny appreciates beauty.
Yeah,
in all
for
forms.
sure. Yeah.
Very, very thirsty. That was a lot. And just having the narrator argue with the sin counter as well is so much fun. And I didn't think, like, early Ian didn't think that was going to make it into the script. I was like, yay! They either really don't care or thought it was funny. It's great. I
really
will accept
don't
either
care.
answer.
I thought it was. That's it. That's the spectrum, everybody. We either
One or the
don't
other.
give a shit or we think it's funny. That's it.
Nothing in between.
Nothing in between. No.
And also, this was my first bonus round ever with the sunglasses removal. And my favourite one was it's like within 2 seconds of each other. He takes the sunglasses off to put a t-shirt on and then puts them back on immediately. It's like, you didn't have to take the damn things off. But interestingly, originally that bonus round was going to have other Tom Cruise movies as well, that at the end it continued just every time he removes his sunglasses from a movie, and end with the Mission Impossible 2 one where he pulls off the sunglasses and they blow up. But I think we decided it might have been a little bit confusing, and that we're including other movies in a Sins video.
Yeah.
And also,
That's where that could have gone.
I remember having this conversation with you. You're a jet set new writer. You're so pumped. You're like, I'm going to do this idea. And I'm like, I just want to make sure I understand your idea. You want to watch every Tom Cruise movie ever.
No, it's on YouTube. I'd have pulled the clips from you.
And you want to sin sunglasses coming off and on. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to fucking do it. It's going to be every movie you've ever seen. It's going to be every scene, every single time. I'm like, okay. Like, how particular are you about things being perfect? And you're like, it's got to be perfect. I'm like, well, you're going to watch all these movies. Like, you don't have time to do. You're working a full-time job and writing scripts for us. Like, what are you doing? And you're like, this is a good idea. I'm doing it. So then you put it out to them. And I'm like, oh, shit. What if they think it's a good idea? And they did. They're like, this is a great idea. It's just too much.
Yes. Thankfully, they were like, it's just going to be too long at the end.
It's going to be too long. And like, when do you stop? That was my question. When do you stop?
That's the big thing. Yeah.
You
How
can't.
many do you include?
Yeah.
You can't stop once you
Especially
get started.
now that we've had more. This is a year old, and we've had more Tom Cruise. I'd have to retroactively keep adding them. And there's only one sin I wanted to pull out, and that was the sinning Cougar. The captain says Cougar and Merlin and Maverick and Goose. And I remember messaging Deneé. I was like, "Is this too nitpicky?" Because I feel like they could have said Cougar, Maverick, Merlin, and Goose, or if you want to do it as partners, Cougar and Merlin, or Cougar, Merlin, and Maverick and Goose. And we had this back and forth, and Deneé was like, "It might be too nitpicky because is that a subtitle thing? Does it just sound clunky?" And I was like, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to put it in. And I remember Chris just being like, is that an Oxford comma joke? I like it. Yeah, I guess it is.
Sure.
But it does sound clunky. Fine, the way
It's
they
really
say it.
not an Oxford comma
easier
joke.
ways to say
It's
that.
really
It's
not, but sure, it works.
If they get it into the script, I'll agree. So yeah, it's really interesting to rewatch a video that I wrote what feels like so long ago and so different.
Yeah. Deneé, why don't you go next? Some thoughts on Top Gun or this video, whatever you want.
Oh, sorry. Also, I don't really like the film.
Fair enough.
It's an important note. I've never seen it, so I have no idea what it's about, except for jets, and
You've got it.
Yep.
that was it. That's all I know.
That's it. Done.
Jets and homoeroticism. You're there.
I was doing a little bit of research for Top Gun because we have a newsletter that we put out every Friday for CinemaSins, and we've started doing something where we're giving a visual clue, and people can guess what movie it is. So last week we sent out and I'm in charge of picking the picture, and I'm in charge of this thing, which is great because here's what I do. I just I search Top Gun, and then all these pictures pop up. And my goal is I want to make the picture interesting to look at, but then also tricky. But see, knowing so little about so much, I guess I just make it really obvious because everybody is guessing every single one. There's no one that's getting it wrong. The one that went out today, because we record BTS on Fridays, the one that went out today, I'm like, I think I got a pretty good one. We'll see. Maybe some people won't guess it. Everyone's guessing it again. I'm like, gosh, dang it.
God dang it.
So, which is fine. It's fine. It's a fun little game. But in my research, I thought, okay, I want to so we ask them to guess the next week's video. And then I ask a random question that I hope is kind of related to the video coming out. So I was trying to figure out a good random question to ask people because it's not a question that's designed for tell us about your income level. It's not like that. It's for fun. We're just fucking around. So we ended up asking a question about roller coasters because Amelia pointed out that from Top Gun there came all these roller coasters that are that are named after the movie, something about a deck.
Maverick. Hard deck.
Hard deck. Yeah, that's it. And then I learned random facts because there's all of these 10 random things you didn't know about Top Gun until blah blah blah, and so I read those trying to get inspiration for this picture and this question. I learned things like the love scene was added afterwards because there was no love scene in it at all, so in post they made the love scene,
heaven forbid,
because they heard the song and the song was so good a love scene had to go along with the song. The order in which that was all created was based on polling the audience and then being this could probably use some romance. And so that was totally an afterthought.
Even though Kelly McGinnis and Tom Cruise have zero chemistry in that movie. It's insane.
You don't need it, I guess.
Yeah.
I learned tragically that someone actually died making this movie.
I'm glad you mentioned that actually, because I've just read through my notes and I forgot about that. The stunt pilot that did practiced the flat spin. Eventually they did that stunt with model. But he was demonstrating how that flat spin works and died. It crashed in the ocean and died whilst.
Yeah, I think he was actually military, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, they worked with the U.S. Navy. Yeah.
So that was crazy. I was like, oh shit. So that's why the film is dedicated to that person who did not make it through the filming of this one, which is just wild. And this stuff happens sometimes on sets in the making of movies where people will, be injured and stuff. But I don't really hear very often of people dying on set.
Well, the most famous one, other than The Crow, the famous one that I know is Flight of the Phoenix, which is back in the 60s. And that's a film all about they land in a desert and they have to get the ship working enough to fly away. And they got a stunt pilot to fly this ship. And he actually died while landing the ship while they were filming. So they can't show that in the film. They just show the plane goes over the crest of this beach, over the crest of this sand dune thing, and then the next shot is them coming towards an oasis and then finding civilization because he actually died while filming. It's wild. It's wild.
It's really crazy. So that was like a interesting kind of just like there's stunts. So at this time there was no CGI. So they actually were taking the actors up into these planes and doing these stunts and filming them. And, you know, they're puking and sick and ill and all of this because they had to like endure G-force. So that was really interesting too, because there wasn't, you know, this had a big budget because they had to actually have military planes to do it, and they had to have permission for military planes. Tom Cruise didn't want to do it. And then they took him up in the plane to do a stunt. And when he got done, he was like, yep, I'm in. That was a lot of fun. So that was like one of the ways they got Tom Cruise to agree. So that was interesting to kind of learn about it. And I wouldn't have learned about it at all unless I had been doing this random stupid poll for our newsletter people. Which,
and
by
since
the way,
then, he just chose to fly everything.
If you want to be on the newsletter so that you can guess, if you go to cinemasins.com and scroll down just a little bit, there's an actual bar that you can enter in your email. And you can get our weekly email where we basically recap everything from that week. So you get links to everything in a quick, simple format. And we're thinking about doing other things there too, including showing you sins to try to guess for the next week. So actually giving you clips of a movie that we're doing, like still shots with a sin, so that you can try to guess based on the sin or other things like that. So we're coming up with some interesting newsletter ideas, I hope. So that's there. As far as the sins go, I really enjoyed this a lot. It was a super fun one. I had the skip button being broken, like you already mentioned. This let's see, Maverick, I feel the need for speed line. I was glad that was sinned, just because you want to try to hit those highlight points, you know, like the famous ones. You want to try to find something there. So I was glad we did that. I like the beach volleyball approach. Like there should be sand everywhere and you should never wear jeans. Absolutely.
So weird. Even in the 80s. Don't wear jeans for that.
And then just, I really like the open mouth kiss one. Because in the script, it's just gross. And then the instructions are like, so this is about the open mouth kiss. And then the instructions to the narrator for Jeremy is just say gross with good humor. What an interesting note.
That's amazing.
Good humor.
Yeah.
That sounds like Daniel.
Not bad humor, just good humor.
Good humor. A good humored
nature.
gross.
Spaceship.
Yeah, exactly.
That was from the Orville that got into my notes for Top Gun.
Excitement.
I'm like, why is this over? Oh, this was copied over wrong.
Yes.
Apparently, there's spaceships in Top Gun. In my notes.
Yeah, you didn't know that, but it happens.
There may as well be.
You guys pretty much mentioned everything I had. I will say I just saw Top Gun Maverick, the new Top Gun, last night and loved it. And I've never been a huge fan of the original Top Gun, so but there is something about this new one that I really, really enjoyed. The old one was just never. It just wasn't something I was into like my friends were, and I just didn't get into it a ton. The only joke that you guys didn't mention that I have written down was, no, there were two. Where it's like resisting the urge to do the college girlfriend joke, that really made me laugh. Where it's like you
and then just the explosion,
and then it just the explosion, the college girlfriend joke, and then the using the just a few seconds excuse for everything in life was really funny to me. Finishing with the Steven, I was only in your wife for a few seconds. As one of the examples, just really, really made me laugh. So well done, indeed. All right, let's move on to Ice Age 3. This was an Atkinson Dicer script. Chris and I writing on this one, so I'll kick us off. The Ice Age movies. And
I reviewed it.
And Deneé did review it. Yes, she did. As I think we'll be hearing about later on in this very episode.
Yeah.
So I have this interesting relationship with the Ice Age movies because they really at their height were right when I had kids who would love the Ice Age movies. So like they, enjoyed them quite a bit, but they just got increasingly overstuffed with characters the longer it went on. In fact, when I talk about other movies that do this, I call it the Ice Age effect because it's just like every character they would introduce in a movie, they would have to give a plot line in the next movie. And already by this third installment, you've got so many characters that have to have their own plot line that you've got like one of the main characters, Diego, who's basically his plot line is so thin. He's basically just like, I want to go out on my own. And then he gets pulled into the dinosaur part and he's like, hey, buddy, I got your back. That's his entire plot line. Like it's supposed to be meaningful and mean something, and the music swells, and it's really interesting to see them try to put all these people together. Having said that, they are written funny. There's some really funny moments. The Scrat stuff is funny, as weird as it's become that the Ice Age movies are basically Scrat movies with Ice Age stuff in them. Mm-hmm. It is kind of funny stuff, and John Leguizamo is really funny in these movies. I like Sid. I think the Sid character is really fun. So it has its benefits, but or at least its good parts. I don't know how beneficial they are, but it definitely has its good parts. But overall, it's just kind of this diminishing returns thing with the Ice Age movies, and this one is no different. So this is also an interesting series to send because of how little it cares for physics, real world. It is Looney Tunes style animation at many times. So that's interesting to send sometimes, and then also all the tropiness of the men don't understand pregnancy, men don't understand delivery. I feel like maybe we should be past that at this point. Like it comes from a real place of like men didn't want to know. A long time ago it was like that's just woman stuff, like that kind of thing. And so there was this way to play on the humor of men not understanding those things because they didn't want to. But I think we've evolved past that by this point, by many, many decades. And it's like men are involved now more. So like,
can we talk about this for a second?
Sure. I'm sure not, every man is.
I am so done with seeing birth depicted in anything. I just want to be done. Yeah. I don't know. And I know that we need to normalize it. And I know it doesn't need to be like a thing. And it's important to showcase sometimes in some ways. I don't know I don't know. Maybe I didn't like seeing it in my content before I had a kid. I certainly don't like seeing it now because I have a visceral reaction. It's kind of like when you like have eaten something delicious and you see it in a movie and you're like, I know that flavor. That is good Thai, right? Like, but then this is like undercarriage ripping sensation that just it's like maybe you guys watch people get kicked in the nads, and maybe if you've had that happen to you, you like instantly kind of feel that, only it's your entire fucking body birthing a goddamn child. I just don't want to see it anymore. I just don't want to see it anymore. I
tried to I
don't want to see it
and capture that in my sinning of some of the delivery.
You did great. I loved your sin.
Yeah.
I loved your sin.
Okay.
And honestly, when Diego flips over and is like, this is so hard. And he's like, he's all clearly just like doing something weird. And then it pans back and he's pushing the log away. I kind of thought that was funny. You said, you're like, listen, we shouldn't be making fun of that and you're not wrong. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I really have a hard time because there's another show that I'm watching right now where there's this really unexpected birth situation. It is quick. It is unexpected, and it starts off the whole show, and I'm just like, why does it always have to be this traumatic thing? Like, can we not show a woman like just sipping some delicious like drink and having a little snack and then like being like, God, I got to go to the hospital because, I'm being induced. So I can't eat or drink anything. And then you go in and they're like, here, have some drugs. And then you're just like chilling and you're like, yeah, I kind of feel that. Is everything good down there? Okay, cool. And like, why can't we show that part too? Because it's not always trauma.
So here's the thing: you're talking about the female gender stereotypes, right? Like, and then like just swearing at the husband. You did this to me, like all that kind of stuff, right? And there's two things that I think should happen. One of them you don't like. The other I think you do, which is yes, the what we should actually see that actually happens during birth are hardcore women being amazing. Like that is what birth is about. Like I've experienced it 4 times because I don't remember my own, but I've experienced I've experienced my children's births, and it is my rock solid wife doing incredible work. She's composed. She's incredible. And then the other part of it is the physical trauma part. Like this is a real physical event that happens that movies and TV are like, yeah, but let's not show that part, you know? And it's like this almost 1-2 punch of, we're not going to show how traumatic it is, but we are going to pretend like, you know, women are experiencing, you know, something traumatic, you know? It's this weird thing where it's exact opposite. Women,
it's hard. Like it's just, I don't know. And this is a me thing. I'm not speaking for all entertainment. I do feel like it's an important thing to show. I get it. And there's a curiosity in it and there's an interest in it or whatever. I'm just tired of seeing it, period. Yeah. It doesn't need to be something that I ever see in entertainment. Not because I don't want to think it's beautiful, not because I don't want people to know that it's real. Because that's the
normalization thing that I think is important.
Yeah, I know, but we don't like. I don't know. Why do we have to show? I want to stop talking about it. I'm sorry.
You're not wrong. Sorry. You're not wrong.
I can feel both things. We both need to see it, and I'm also tired of seeing it all at the same time.
Absolutely. Both things can absolutely be true. So yeah, I think that was pretty much all I wanted to say about that. Deneé, did you have anything you wanted to continue on with other than the birth stuff?
Just about this movie in general. Sure. I don't know that I've watched all of them. I don't know that you need to. It's just a basic kind of experience. I did chuckle quite a bit throughout this, and I rolled my eyes quite a lot as well. I like everything that you guys pointed out, from the silliness of the mechanics of, you know, like the little ramp or the whatever machinery gets them from point A to point B, or the laughing gas that will kill them, to the child's playground, and just all of the ways that we dig into something and go, if this was reality, then this probably wouldn't be happening. Both having fun and not like. But one of my favorites was the you live in the Ice Age, you've never had a peach. It was really, really funny.
You liar.
You liar. I did not expect the penis joke straight out of the gate, so that was fun.
Which one was that? There was a penis
when
joke right?
When Scrat's nose is like, sniffing.
I laughed so hard. That was a Chris joke, and like it's like the first joke like, is like,
wait,
it's
what?
so great. It's so great. Yeah.
There was attempting the inverted reverse cow squirrel position, which was also really unexpected. And then there was a couple that I remember noting when I was reviewing this one that just slayed me. One was the possums, which are of course well known for their extremely keen eyesight, especially during the daytime, would of course see a tiny speck at a distance and realize that their friend's 1,000 feet away. I know I shouldn't note something like this because they have such great eyesight. Or like, it's just such a the way that one was written. Chris blows my mind. And then this one made me laugh really hard. I had to stop reviewing it for a minute and go wipe the tears, which was, I thought you were a female as the lead in. And the sin is, this movie is for kids, so I should probably forgive it for this joke about Sid accidentally jerking off a ram. No, wait, what the fuck am I even saying?
Yeah, we definitely both had jokes about that. Literally, the movie has Sid grabbing a ram's penis and yanking on it, and like that's the joke. And
ramsturbation.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah, totally. Ian, some thoughts?
The joke, as always, is masturbation.
I never liked these films, so I watched them for some reason. When did this one come out? 2009?
It's a fair question. I thought it was mid 2000s. I'll take a look.
It's around then.
Yeah, it might be 2009. I will look.
I've seen the first three in the cinema for some reason.
Yeah, it was 2009.
Yeah. I remember liking the first one. I remember hating this one. I remember it's interesting that you've seen how much of a focus there is on Scrat. Like, I remember enjoying the Scrat stuff and not giving a care about the entire rest of the movie and just wanting to get back to Scrat.
Yeah, does he get the nut?
Exactly. I want the Wile E. Coyote story in this as opposed to the main Bugs Bunny plot, which is it's exactly what it is. I just remember a joke from the first film when Sid is making a fire and he's like so proud and so impressed with himself. And then, is it Manny the Mammoth? Comes around and says, "Hey, Lord of the Flame, your tail's on fire." And that joke killed me in the theatre because I was like, oh, he is the Lord of the Flame. And that's also a book. And now his tail is on fire. And that was funny. And that was the peak of Ice Age for me. It never revisited the dizzying heights of that slight literary quip. It's fine. I agree with everything you guys said. I'm amazed how much sex humour, dick humour, dumb humour there is in this film for children's. And I get the idea of, hey, the adults can laugh at this as well as the kids. But You're making it so obvious. There's no subtext here. You're just making jokes about sex and stuff, and it's very quickly it doesn't fit in with the story. So yeah, I don't like these movies. That's it. I did like the Sins video though. I had the penis thing on my list as well. Like, I can't unsee that furry penis just being scratch nose. That's wild. Had to give a shout out to, you know what I have to say about panchromatic gender norm stereotypes? Fuck you, movie. Just so great. I mean, it's just great. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect sin. And being so old, you make Christ an anachronism. Like, how do you make Christ anachronistic? That's amazing. Turning a T-Rex into a T-Rex into a T-Rachel. This movie is now banned in 26 states. Was a outstanding little burn on America. I love it. And I'm supposed to throw logic out of the window, but I'm all out of windows, and the logic keeps bouncing off the walls and hitting me in the face. Made me laugh so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, sinning animation is really because you have to go wackadoodle and kooky and
You do.
just make the sins extra. Just don't judge me for sinning this. Here's why I'm sinning.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it.
I will give Jeremy a shout out too for his whisper delivery when he says, "Okay, fine, I'm done doing puns," and he's like, "I'm not."
I'm not. Very Deadpool-y, wasn't it? It's like, I won't ever.
Yeah, totally. So, there you go. That is Ice Age 3. Let's move into the comment section.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
We're each going to pick a comment from last week's content from the various places you reach out: Discord, YouTube, Reddit, etc. Deneé, hit us first. What do you got for a comment?
So this week I went to Orville, and I have to say I was super excited to see so much love for the Orville. Like the comments are just.
There really is.
I'm glad you're doing this, and I there is something really satisfying about the comment community when they're really excited about something that we're doing because they understand our humor, they know what we're going for, and it's like, yeah, let's sin it because I love it. And when you find
It's
that
great.
combo,
Yeah.
it feels really, really good as a content creator. So I really enjoyed the comment section of Orville for obvious reasons, because positivity does help us do our jobs. Negativity is sometimes there too, and oftentimes it's because we mess up or something. But I don't know. It was just kind of cool to find a whole fan base. It's like, let's go, let's get it. And so I don't know. That was really cool.
It is really refreshing. It's like, we love this show, and we're happy that you're pulling it apart. It's so
It's a great
great. It's
combo.
exactly why we want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that, like, for me, I get more excited to sin the Orville when I know that the people are like, let's do this. Whereas sometimes we'll get like a suggestion for something to sin, and I'm like, I don't want to touch that fan base, guys.
Yeah.
I don't want to go there. I'm not ready. I need to be at this job a lot longer and have a thicker skin, I think, before I go there.
Yeah.
But Carl Allen was one of the people who posted on the Orville, and they said this. I mean, the fax machine and wiffle ball are both inventions that aren't really easy to use as a weapon. And I have no idea what Carl is talking about.
I was thinking, I don't remember writing about that.
But I don't think we wrote about a wiffle ball specifically, but I think we mentioned maybe a weapon or something in that one. I don't know. I was confused, but I don't care because Carl's not wrong about his comment.
No.
The fax machine and wiffle ball are both inventions that aren't really easy to use as a weapon. He's not wrong.
Fax
They aren't wrong.
machines are pretty blunt force
But
trauma
not,
Dropped
objects.
on your head.
but
from a
not
height.
really easy to use because
Correct.
fax machines have to be lifted
Well,
and
you
then
have to
there's
unplug
aim.
it, and yeah, there's all that.
If you're using it on a child, it's quite easy. But if it's against another adult, it's probably tricky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, Ian.
Yeah, your brain went there, Ian. That's really interesting.
Wow.
Ian, what about you?
So mine's from the Orville as well. Dark Neverland said, I want to petition CinemaSins to have Aaron continuously say pew because for some reason it's fucking hilarious. Now, I agree, but I also want the context of that. Is this just a video of you just saying pew 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 pew, just a recording? Is it to have it in every Sins video? I want the context of what this person wants, because we can probably make it happen.
Well, that was my comment as well, because I was curious about the same thing. Like, what is it about how I say pew pew? Like,
how did we do that?
Like, is it the murder thing? Like, there are certain words I guess I say in like my own specific way, but I didn't know pew pew was one of them. But that was interesting.
This might surprise you as well. That there's a video isn't out yet, but you say vengeance in a very specific way, and I don't know if it was deliberate or not.
Really?
I didn't know.
How do I say it?
I didn't know if you were saying vengeance like you were trying to say murder, because you say, is it vengeance? Vengeance isn't like that. And it's very deliberate the way that you emphasize some very odd syllables.
I do have an emphasis thing that I do, an enunciation thing that I do, and sometimes it does impact
vengeance.
Impact.
Were you doing a Batman thing? Was like, I am vengeance. Is it vengeance?
That was more Scooby-Doo than Batman, but
no, it was. It was.
Nice try.
Wow, vengeance.
Exactly. All right, let's move into nitpicking the nitpickers.
I am the knight.
We wouldn't want to nitpick, right, Danny?
Pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little, cheep, 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 talk a lot, pick a little more.
Actually...
Oops. What do you mean, oops?
Missed it by that much.
Am I just going to nitpick everyone until they leave me?
Ian takes a look at some actuallys from the comments, and we decide together if the commenter was green, yellow, or red. Ian, take it away.
This could take some time, guys. I've got a lot, so I probably won't get to all. There were some issues with Top Gun that I wholeheartedly thought that I'd done my research, but there's some stuff that's perhaps going to be up. So one of them, I think this is a pretty easy green, and it's the narrator. I don't know actually. The narrator says that I love this flat spin. It's fantastic. I have no idea how they managed to do this with an actual jet without. I don't know how they managed to do it, and we remove a sin. So lots of people in the comments rightfully said it was made with a model. The model did all of the spinning, clever film work, etc. But I still think the sin stands because we're still removing a sin for how incredible it is, even though the narrator is admitting that they don't know how it's done. And I think the problem is the narrator says, how did they do that with an actual jet?
Right, yeah.
But I think the sin still stands because it's still a fantastic bit of
the sin removal,
regardless.
Yeah,
the sin removal.
Yeah, it almost strengthens the case in some ways that you thought it was a real jet. But yeah, so I think I would say green in the fact that it isn't a real jet, and the narrator says it's a real jet. But red in the fact that it's still worth a sin removal. We just needed to word it differently if we knew that. That's all.
100%. Yeah. The other one from Top Gun was, and this I am interested in getting your opinion, it's when Maverick is told to get back up there as soon as possible to get past the trauma and like basically, hey, the quicker you man up, the quicker you'll get past the fact that your best friend is dead. And there were a couple of people in the comments that said, this is legitimate. This is what the military tells you to do. Happened to my grandfather in Vietnam. And cool. And I think even the sin even says, like, I'm sure this was a thing in the 80s, but it doesn't make it right. Like, the sin is still, I don't think this is a legitimate way to get past your trauma.
Yeah, that goes into, that might be yellow for me just because there could be some argumentative stuff there, right? Like it could be like defined by who, because I do know that there are certainly, there have been in the past at least, certainly the idea of face your trauma is how you get through trauma. So I think there's even a word for that kind of therapy. But so personally, I don't get it. But it might be an actual, kind of therapy.
And I think it's obviously we're not professionals, we're not therapists. We do try and do research as much as we can, but it seemed more like man up logic than actual. This will help you, and this is proven.
Right?
So
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, a little more man up than get back on the horse kind of thing. Yeah.
Hey, speak to somebody about the man that just died next to you.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
And then calling Goose the co-pilot, is that really a big deal? Is there really an issue with calling him the co-pilot instead of the radar intercept officer? Because 100 people pointed this out, and we're like, once one person has pointed it out, do you have to keep going? Is co-pilot really that bad? Is he not?
It is
A person that is also
he's
piloting.
not piloting the.
He's not
thing. Piloting at all. He's not doing any piloting. He is not a co-pilot. Yeah, that's.
No, right, fine, good. Well, that's a red then. So the next note I have is squirrels, and I can't remember what that's referencing.
Oh, I got you, because this is one of mine that I did a lot of study on. This is from Ice Age 3.
Oh, terminal
velocity and squirrels, and it's really interesting because the sin isn't about if a squirrel can survive. Like the literal sin is not about that. It's literally about the difference between a flying squirrel and a squirrel. Like that's it's. So I think it's because at the end it's like, the scrat splat should have been followed by a scratte pate, joke or whatever. But that's in the movies lot. Like if Scrat dies from that fall, then so should scratte. Like being a flying squirrel doesn't change that. Being a squirrel itself, yes, squirrels can fall from great distances and survive. But in this movie, that's not what it's about.
They're treating that as risk.
Correct.
Exactly.
And they're treating, the idea is that the flying squirrel does not become a hang glider when it puts its little webbing out. That's not how it works. It cannot, float away nicely on those long falls. That's what the sin is about. So, yeah.
What I do love is that one of the comments said, now, this is true, squirrels can survive. However, I once saw a squirrel that fell a great height. Looked like it broke all of its legs and couldn't walk anymore, but I'm pretty sure it was still alive. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That was not a description I needed.
Yeah.
One final one I have is the fireball from Strange New Things.
Sorry, Ian, it's Stranger New Things?
Stranger New Things, my problem. From Stranger Danger. The Demogorgon that they're doing their D&D stuff. Here they all agree to fireball, and then they immediately roll for damage, and there's no dexterity saving throw. There's just completely ignored, and apparently, somebody in the comments said it could have been paralyzed, which means that it would have immediately failed its dexterity saving throw, and they wouldn't have had to roll. That's correct. That is technically correct, but it is not stated. And I would love to know what the hell managed to paralyze a Demogorgon. I'm just saying, probably would have been resistant to that, and that's not mentioned on screen.
This is an interesting part of our job, right? We do try to, as much as we can, eliminate things that are argumentative to a certain degree. But everything is argumentative to a minuscule degree. We wouldn't have a channel. Right? We wouldn't have a channel if we did that. So, if something is clearly you can clearly argue the opposite, and it makes sense, then we probably won't go there in the same way. We'll probably make the joke a little bit different. But if it's just something like that, no, that joke stands. That's fine. Yes, yes, okay, fine. It's like the difference between, guilty beyond reasonable doubt and just, guilty beyond unreasonable doubt. Yeah, that kind of thing. So.
And I loved including it because Fireball is one of the most famous D&D spells, and they would, the kids playing D&D would know. They would know that needs a dex save to survive it. And I went back and read the rules for the edition of Dungeons & Dragons that would have been out in 1984, and it still stands. It's exactly the same rule for Fireball.
Yeah. Yeah. Nicely done.
Chunky.
All right, let's finish up the show with some Neé-play.
Who puts her in charge?
I did.
There is no plan B.
How did we get here?
I should embrace the chaos.
That makes no sense.
I do what I want.
I regret nothing.
This entire segment has been turned over to the chaotic wonder that is Deneé.
Can I show you this piece of aloe vera? Now, I realize podcast listeners, this isn't going to work for you, but I had a friend of mine.
I love this segment so much.
Excuse me, I'm talking. I had this friend of mine that I went to go see. Well, she's not a friend. I go to a massage therapist, and she is so good with these things called plants. She can keep them alive. But somebody was staying in her massage suite is attached to her house. And so it's like its own little world. It's got its own little miniature kitchen, its own little living area, and then its own room, obviously for the work, and its own bathroom. And so her son is graduating high school, family is in town. So is her father-in-law, who decides this is going to be his space to stay in. And I guess while he was there, he like kind of trashed it a little bit, because when she went back into the room several days later, having given him his space because he's going to live there for the few days, and she didn't go in and like interrupt him, obviously, that's just rude. She goes in and her aloe vera plant was like destroyed. She said it looked like maybe it had been stepped in. Anyway, that's why I have this. Well, this is a huge piece. This is a piece of aloe vera. This plant has been around for a long time. This is probably the size of my forearm. And it was one of many giganto thick old slices of aloe vera that has fallen off. Now, it's both pokey on the sides. If you've never touched aloe vera before, it is dangerous in its own way. By the way, this has nothing to do with what I want to talk about today. And I have never really like played with an aloe vera leaf before. They're really cool. Like, this has structure. This is dangerous. This is awesome. Anyways, a piece chunked off the end on the smaller side, on the smaller end. And so Iris and I had a chance to squeeze all the goop out of it and be like, ew, slime. But then it's like safe because it's aloe vera. So it was really, really fun. I highly recommend getting yourself a friend that has an aloe vera plant that has someone step in it so that you can get a free leaf, is what I'm saying.
Nice.
She told me that I can chunk it off and then like apply it to my face. And it's like no big deal, which I didn't know. Yeah. So that was the first thing, I guess.
The chat says it's tasty too.
Chat, you stop it. I will eat this right now. No, I won't. I will not. So, yeah, I wanted to do something different when I was watching Ice Age. And I did an experimental audio recording while I was watching the movie because I knew I was going to have to review it. And I have no idea if that would be interesting to listen to ever. And having gone back through the clips, still not sure.
So wait, let me get this clear. So while you were watching the Ice Age 3 video, like the Sins video?
No, the movie.
No, the movie itself.
Yeah, I was watching it.
So you recorded like a Deneé commentary track for Ice Age 3.
Yes, I did. And I was thinking about this, like how we obviously consume a ton of content. And those listening, we hear on a regular basis that you want to hear our opinions on it. That's why you're listening to this show. That's why you listen to other podcasts that we put out, other content that we produce where we're talking about all of the stuff that we consume. And so I was like, well, I could capture it in the moment, and then I don't have to talk about it again later because I've already talked about it, which isn't entirely true because we were always going to have to talk about it again at some point in time. And I realized that. But I was capturing my in the moment thoughts. And I was thinking like, because I stream on Twitch, I was in kind of like stream on Twitch brain a couple of times where I was just pretending that I had a live audience. So this audio is really weird. I don't know that I like it, but I have it.
So is it for the whole movie? Did you do this for the whole movie?
The whole movie, yeah.
So you have an hour and 40-minute audio file that we could release to our members as, hey, start this when the movie starts and you can watch Ice Age 3 with Deneé.
No. I would not release this because things happen that should never see the light of day or someone's ear hole.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, but the idea that I had as I'm in the moment, I'm like, what if we did this like right now? So then I'm thinking when I watch other content, if I committed to just doing a commentary that was hit play and then comment, yeah, that's the idea, I guess, that people could, if they wanted to, start the movie. And then, or the show, or the TV show, because we obviously watch a lot of TV stuff too. So yeah, that was, but I mean, on Discord, if I did a watch along on Discord, it was like, guys, I got to work. I'm going to watch this. If you want to hear me talk while I do it, then just come hang out. But the problem is that sometimes we're watching things that might not come out for a while. And I love you all, but we don't trust that you're not going to tell your friends while we're going to be sinning. So it kind of doesn't work. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting experiment. So what I did is I clipped out a few of my top moments to share with you, and then we'll just see if you guys think it's funny.
I'm game.
Yeah. We're just gonna do it.
Okay. So are you gonna set up like where we are in the movie, or are you just gonna play it and then like Ian and I will?
No.
Ian and I will guess like what's going on and.
Okay, let me tell you something about what it means to record with me. This is why you can't think of this as a commentary. Because I rarely talk about the actual movie. I'm just like, guys, look over here. 1, 2, 3. Hi, future self. You're right now holding in your hand 2 fucking awesome leather coasters. Okay. Now, again, this is why this will never work. So I start Ice Age, and then I'm like, oh, look at these cool other coasters on my tables, because someone sent these cool other coasters. And again, I know that not the podcast people can't see them, but they're really fucking cool. And I'm like, I'm going to take a picture so I can share them, because in the future, if I share this audio, I want people to see what I'm talking about. So then I go take a picture, which I'm going to share right now. I'm holding up the leather coasters that were sent in to cover a mess in the background. But while I was cleaning 5 minutes before this picture, I was like, oh, I got to remember to put this somewhere. So I tied it around my wrist. I tied this like piece of fabric around my wrist to remind myself to put it away. And it looks like I am severely injured. So like,
we were literally like, you were just loading this up beforehand, and Ian was like, "Oh, what happened to your wrist?"
I know. I'm like, I can never share this
Why
picture.
am I only just hearing about this?
Isn't that ridiculous? So this is
I do have a question.
Yeah.
I do have a question. Do you regularly put stuff around your, like, tie stuff to you to remind you of things?
Sometimes.
Is this a normal Deneé thing?
Yeah. Or
Okay.
I'll put it in my lap so that when I stand up, I'm like, oh yeah, I was doing this. Yeah.
That's amazing.
100%. Yeah, because I will forget. I have so many things happening in my world that, like, at any moment, dogs want out, child wants attention, phone's blowing up, family is calling me, something is coming in for work, someone has a question about something for work on something else. There's 3 projects going on. Oh, by the way, you've got a script, likely overdue. So yeah, if I want to remember to, like, get myself some water, when I finish this, I might have to hold it between my legs, my cup between my legs, and be like, don't forget to drink water. It's done.
Well, that could be confused with, do you need water or do you need to pee? Because it'd be like, an emergency receptacle.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So anyways, I go on this audio to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe because the audio is not working very well, I'll just put it we could put it in the outtakes maybe. But I go on to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. The Ice Age movie reminded me of some really cool, like, D&D scenes that I could create for a one-shot. I go off for about a 5-minute tangent on my one-shot that I created and how it went and how I wanted to go differently.
I see why this could now not be released as a commentary.
Yeah, it's bad. And then, like, there's sometimes where I'll, like, react and giggle to moments, but then I forget to, like, describe the moment. So I do have some of those that you would have to guess, like, what the moment is. But because the audio is not working very well, I don't know that we should do it right now. Maybe we'll have to test this a little bit more with audio.
Well, one thing that is certain from this section of Neé-play from the chat is they are excited about Deneé commentaries. So that is something to at least put in the back of our heads. Like, hang out with Deneé and watch a movie. Will be the most random, interesting experience you may have ever experienced. Yeah.
If I did it, like, so let's say I did it on Twitch. So on Twitch, you have polls that you can put out. And in this audio, I realized that every single time I open my VLC player, which is what I use to watch my content, there is almost always an update that's needed for VLC. They update their hardware, software, whatever, all the time. And so I would, like, put up a poll and people can bet their channel points. And I immediately would have lost all of the channel points for everyone, which would have been really interesting to see happen live. Immediately. So I talk about that. So yeah, I just have, like, all these little, like, moments. And then Babs does show up. My character Babs shows up. There's a moment when Manny and his woman have their baby. And, like, I do Babs's voice as the baby as she's being born. Like, so as if the baby is Babs. So that was a delight.
That's terrifying.
And it is terrifying. It was Yeah, it was an interesting experience. I will have to try to do a better job if I'm going to record while I watch things. If that's something that's actually
it's an interesting experience. We did one for Lady in the Water with our friend Josh Childs a while back. That's still available on YouTube. Where, because Deneé remembers loving that movie, Josh remembered hating that movie, and I remembered being in between, and so they were. It was kind of one of those, like, you know, rewatch, revisit kind of things. And it's an interesting experience because you do have this thing where it's like, wait, do we just go long stretches when we don't have anything to say? Do we keep saying stuff even though nothing's like coming to mind? Commentaries are interesting. But we watch so much content for our job.
We do.
And it might be interesting to kind of save something like that and make it available for our members. That would be kind of cool.
There was also a moment where the track goes quiet. And this is because I left the movie running and decided to just walk out of the room and get a snack.
As you need when you watch a movie, you know?
And then I came back and I was like, fuck, I didn't pause it. So then I have to pause it and I had to go back and be like, okay, so here's where I'm at in the movie. It's chaos. I don't think, like, maybe you guys think it would be fun, but really it might not be fun. We'll see. Maybe we can try it out someday. I would say if we're going to do this, it's probably going to be through Discord. So if you're listening to this podcast and you haven't joined Discord yet, I would highly recommend doing so because I probably would put it there first.
Absolutely.
The link is in the description.
Is it?
It is.
Nice.
Yeah, I put the link in the description.
Good. Good. There you go. Well, that's going to wrap it up for Behind the Scenes this week.
Says the man who approves the description every week.
I knew there was a link in there. I just don't remember what it was for. I thought there was, but I don't know. I just thought they were for other things, I guess. I was like, is it Discord that we put the link in there? Very nice. I'm paying very close attention to those things. That's going to do it for Behind the Scenes this week. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed and go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. If you've got anything you want to send us, you can do that. Mail it to P.O. Box 881, Republic, Missouri 65738. You can hang out with us on Twitter. We are at Wits End, at Deneé Says.
DENEESAYS.
And I am at Aaron Dicer. So for Deneé Hughes, Ian Whittington, a still open Kinko's, and myself, we will see you next week.
Happy Leave the Office Early Day.
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to bts@cinemasins.com and be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. Find more ways to connect by visiting cinemasins.com/BTS.
So we're in the outtakes firmly, Ian.
On.
I have been waiting for this story for so long, and now it's just been
waiting for
built up in my brain. But no, I do want to ask you. We've talked, I think, on the show before about me diagnosing you with RCPD. Yep. And now that you're back at home, I wondered, and so I asked you, hey, have you told your parents about your diagnosis? And you were like, we're going to talk on BTS. I was like, what? How dare you throw back my own strategy of save it for the show?
Save it for the show.
But we are in the show now.
Me and Aaron can now not have conversations if that conversation is good enough to be on BTS. I get home and I reconnect with the parents, as one does. We have a nice dinner. And I'm having a fizzy beverage. I'm having a Coca-Cola. Oh,
yes.
And I just thought, this is a great time to do it. So I said to my parents, something interesting happened while I was in America. And I want to preface this with a question. Did you have problems burping me as a child?
Yes.
And did I have problems passing wind? Before I could finish the sentence, they both went, oh my God, you were a nightmare. You couldn't get to sleep because we couldn't burp you.
Yeah.
You would just cry after every single meal. We would pat you. We would swing you. We don't remember you burping. My grandmother was worried about me. They thought I had croup. They gave me medication. So the doctors prescribed me with stuff because this wasn't just a phase. This was going on for so long.
You knew nothing about this.
Nothing about it. I remember hearing stories that it was difficult to get me to sleep. This is why I didn't sleep as a baby, was because I had constant wind that was just trapped in my body that I couldn't get rid of.
Yeah.
And they were so worried for me, never got it diagnosed. Eventually, it just became manageable because you just grow up and your body adapts.
You learn how to hiccup.
I learned how to hiccup, exactly, which I now can't do with a massive, complex, I know why I'm hiccuping. It's because I can't burp. Why did you ask that? That's a very specific thing to ask. As I gave them the story of Aaron observed that I never burp, and have you noticed that I never burp? And they went, yeah, I guess growing up you didn't burp at all, did you? I was like, I know you two burp, but I just never did. No, you never did. I said, well, Aaron can't let this lie, so he Googled me and then diagnosed me with this this syndrome. And they went, that's a thing. So they Googled it, and they were like, oh, that's it is a real thing. Like, is there a treatment? And I was like, yeah, but I don't think I need to get it. And they were like, that's unbelievable. And I said, don't feel bad. Like, they felt so guilty that they never got to the bottom of it, and that I was in genuine pain as a baby and nobody could diagnose it. And I said, don't worry, it was only diagnosed 3 years ago.
Like no literally people figured this out just within the last few years. Yeah,
this is newer than the pandemic. Like, this is it was such a bizarre moment that I almost wish I'd saved for when and if you guys come to visit. It was such a day of like realization that this mystery from when I was a baby, like they had what's the equivalent of the midwife, but after you're born? Like they check on the house. No, but it might be something that the NHS just does, and they do like house visits and make sure the baby's nursing all right and that mum's settling in and whatnot. And she had no answers. She was like, I haven't seen a baby like struggle this much to burp. Just wouldn't have. Like, they're beating the heck out of my back, and I'm just not burping, just grizzling and crying every time I ate. How does that make you feel, Aaron?
Listen. Okay, so something you may know about me, and we may have even talked about this, but I am ultra curious. I want all the information. I want to know all of the things. Like, the world around me is this beautiful mystery to be explored and discovered, and information is just like gold to me, right? So within,
and this is a big one.
Within, just hanging out with you for a while, I noticed you didn't burp. Like, and if you remember, the first thing I said to you was, am I offending you when I burp? Because I noticed you never did it in front of me. Right? And I just assumed you were holding it back like Deneé does with all of her bodily functions in front of me. I
do belch in front of you.
You do, yes.
And I love it because I used to never belch. So
that is true. That is true. But to this day,
I would love to. I know that feeling. But, I would love to.
But to this day, I've never heard Deneé fart. So like, there is this.
I don't actually have that function.
Oh,
it's a
maybe
thing
I
that
should diagnose
has recently
you as well.
been diagnosed. Yeah.
Yep. You have one of those things that's too. Never mind.
So I wondered if it was like in England or in your family, or there was some cultural thing where it's like, no, belching's really gross. Like, don't do that in my presence. And so I asked you, and you're like, oh no, go ahead or whatever. And then you said something shortly thereafter about, it's just not something I do. And so then I kind of pressed in on that because curious me wants the information, and I'm just like,
you're like, what do you mean?
What do you mean by it's not something you do? Yes, let's talk.
My favorite part of all of that was Ian going, well, I don't. What is that, weird? We're like, yes, it's weird. Because when you guys are talking to me about it, I was like, no, you have to release gas somehow. Your body has to let it out somehow. Otherwise, it'd be a really big problem. Turns out, it was when you were little, but your body compensated when you were older. Oh my God, Ian, you've been suffering for so long.
Extra hiccups. Like, I'm genuinely going to cut beer and fizzy drinks out of my diet now that I know I have it, because I had a beer last night. And I enjoy a beer at the pub. Like, having it on draft is so tasty. It's something England does really well. I had one beer and I felt terrible, and I had hiccups. I felt gassy, and I just thought back. I actually feel like this every time I have a beer. So you have now affected my diet, Aaron. I probably will not be having fizzy drinks ever again. It's why I like iced tea so much.
It's why you like what so much?
Iced tea so much, because it is so nice.
Lemonade.
Your version of lemonade. Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's so smooth.
Yeah, so it really is just a result of this natural thing in me that wants to figure stuff out, that wants to see the world around me and find a mystery. And so, so once I knew you literally never burped, it was just like, okay, Google, here we come. Are there other people? Like, first of all, is this possible? Is he lying to me? Second of all, because I spot check people on like facts that they throw out and like stories that we were even just talking about the reverse peace sign that's vulgar in England or whatever, and you said something about the arrow fingers,
the arrow thing,
right?
Yeah,
so
which is what I always assumed was
right. And so I looked that up, and it's that story does go around, but it's it's no way provable. Anyways,
there's no way to confirm,
right? So I do that all the time. So go to Google, and it's like, oh my goodness, there's a whole like 30,000 people on a Reddit thread that are like, this is me. It's called RCPD or CRPD or whichever.
And there's 30,000 people on a Reddit thread, that probably means there's 10 times that amount that actually have it, or 100 times that amount that have it. Yeah,
and they're all talking about getting their Botox, and I'm like, wait, what is this Botox thing? And so
I laughed at that and thought it's absolutely ridiculous. It is now something like that's not such a bad idea. Like if it's a one-off injection and it works. Mm-hmm. But imagine being 32 and then suddenly being able to burp. I'm like, will my body just still not do it because it's just not used to it?
Oh my God.
It'll be so natural. The air will push itself out. I
cannot imagine it being natural.
Yeah.
I can't picture it. Like, I was not exaggerating.
The first burp, you have to be with your parents when you do it.
I feel like it needs to be on BTS.
You have to go to your parents and have a fizzy soda or something,
and then just belch
sit down with them and be like, okay, and just sit there and wait and
32
hope.
years,
and then burp, and you're all gonna just burst into tears. It's gonna be so beautiful.
My mum just like pats me on the back, and then I just let out a massive burp.
I'm gonna cry.
I never got to do this.
I'm gonna cry. Oh, that's so beautiful.
Oh my God!
Aaron is tearing up. It's so great.
This is happening. Just trust me with the Botox injection.
Yeah, Deneé can do it.
Great.
Nope.
Deneé can do it.
Nope.
I'm glad it was a mystery solved, and I hope they don't feel too bad. Every parent does their best with the information they have. Literally, they had no information to be able to know what to do.
Undiagnosed. Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I hope they don't feel bad. And to me, and you'll hear me say this in other avenues as well, information is always a good thing. And
Agreed.
For me,
totally.
like, knowing is better than not knowing. Not everybody believes that, and that's fine. I understand that ignorance can be bliss for some people, but,
until you hit the thing that you don't know about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And you don't have a solution.
It is great to not be diagnosed with cancer, because then you don't have cancer until you wake up and you're dead.
Right.
Like that's the way I look at it. Like if you have the information, you can fight the thing that you're avoiding.
Absolutely.
But that's easy to say when I'm stood here with the inability to burp and not something more serious. I genuinely could have used this information. Like this would have been helpful for me, especially like through my 20s when I consumed didn't care, just consumed a lot of fizzy drinks and beer and whatnot. And had I known, I would have had, I have had nights out ruined by hiccups that are cripplingly painful. Like they are so violent that they bruise my esophagus. And it would just be, I'm going home. I'm fed up, guys. Whatever this is, I'm done with it. And just thought, hey, I'm just unlucky.
Yeah.
There are friends I would tell this, like if I reconnected with some friends from uni, they would be, oh yeah, that makes sense. That explains so much about what we saw during uni. Aaron, it is insane how something innocuous has now answered so many questions.
Hey, I'm glad.
Yeah,
I'm glad you played a role. Yeah, that's
it's
fun.
really bizarre.
Everybody needs a friend like Dicer, somebody to pause and say, that word doesn't mean what I think that you think that it means. Or that thing doesn't do what I think that you think that it does. Because if it's like me, it's like, I'm like, you kind of have this weird like little thing that you do. It's not really like it's not a burp. It's like a noise that burbles up in your throat. And so I just thought that was like what it was. Aaron's like, let's get the microscope out.
Completely, because I am human,
and we know it's for his own curiosity for some degree.
It's kind of selfish.
100%. Totally.
But you wouldn't do that with a stranger,
right?
You would do that with people that are your friends.
Yes.
Ian's looking into my soul. He's like, okay, fair.
If he was at church and there was a lady that was sitting on a church bench and she was talking, she was just fanning herself, and she's like, yeah, I just don't burp. He'd be like, oh, that's weird. And he'd walk away and he'd Google search it and he'd think about it and he'd learn something and be like, I wonder if I should say something to that lady. But with you, he's like, tell me more about yourself, Ian. He's going to get into it.
I'm going to need your parents' phone numbers. I need to confirm a hypothesis.
What's your doctor's name?
Yeah. Man, I mean, I've had the same doctor since I was a kid. I'm really tempted to phone him and just like, hey, that thing.
We figured it out.
Okay, new idea. You grab your mom and dad. You go to that doctor. That doctor gives you the Botox.
Yes.
and you all experience like a little conclusive sort of like circle. It's the great medical circle of life.
Oh man, it would be. It's like that one unsolved case from House. It's CRB. It's crazy. If I'm ever in a position where we're introducing somebody new to Aaron that we are thinking will be in the friendship circle and will be there for a while, I just want to prepare them and just like, there might be something you don't know about yourself that Aaron uncovers. Just be ready for it and see if I can guess what it will be.
Yeah. 100%. Let's do it.
Oh no.
Aaron will find something out about you that will change the way you view the last 3 decades of existence.
Oh my goodness.
Wrong
podcast, guys. Wrong podcast. Wrong podcast.
Shit. Hold on. Let me get my ship too. Hold on. Ready? Go.
These are the voyages.
The Borg are coming. The Borg are coming.
Oh my god, actually it is. There's a Borg fidget cube.
I was thinking about getting my daughter a fidget cube.
I love it, man.
Because when she sits and is kind of idle, she starts to chew on her fingers. So I thought maybe it'd be good.
I want to get a new one. I lost mine.
Aww.
It's dramatic as fuck. Check that out. It's so good.
I guess
anybody in the chat name the shit.
This probably would have been the better Borg cube.
That's the better Borg cube because it's black.
Yes. I mean, of course, I actually have a Borg cube to hand because, of course, I do. That's so cool. Have you listened? This one does all like sound effects and stuff. Where's the button? Here it is.
Freedom is irrelevant. Self-determination is irrelevant. You must comply.
Wow. Very nice.
Yes! It has all of the weapons and stuff from the best of both worlds.
Nice. Very nice.
Sorry.
Best of both worlds.
It Don't Connect says BTS forgets it's not Captain's Pod. Ding. Yeah, that'll happen.
Interesting fact about the Prometheus is that the portions that hold up the nacelles there, they are angled forwards instead of backwards.
I see
this
that.
was the originally how the Enterprise E was going to be done, but they thought it looked stupid and they wanted to reuse the design for the Prometheus. Also
nice.
on the Zheng-He, which is the ship that Riker commands at the end of Picard season 1.
It seems a little bit less aerodynamic that way. But it wouldn't be.
It's space, Aaron.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't need to be aerodynamic.
No aerodynamics in space. So why are all the ships so aerodynamic then?
We should start building our actual rockets when we ever bother to build them en masse in space as well, because 90% of the fuel we need is
to get to space.
Earth.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is so wasteful.
Well, that's why they are literally, the next plan for the Mars mission is to set up something on the moon, right? Where they can launch from the moon.
Yeah, that's the launching pad. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Has to be. Let's do the actual show we came here to do. How about that? Does that sound fun for everybody?
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Here we
Captain's Pod. Sorry.
Wait, what? Wait. Welcome to
My phone is blowing up right now.
Is it?
What, on Slack or Twitter?
No, my friend just adopted 7 kittens.
Oh no.
Wait, adopted 7? Usually you get 7 and then put them up for adoption.
She just sent me this text message. A guy at the feed. My phone's blowing up, so I'm like, this isn't abnormal. It's like beep, 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 and I'm just getting message after message. And it's her sending all these pictures of cats. And I'm like, oh, wait, okay, everything's fine. But then, of course, I had to interrupt the show. A guy at the feed store was getting rid of 7-week-old kittens, and so Adam rescued all of them.
That's amazing.
Getting these.
All of them.
Adorable.
What are you going to do with 7 fucking cats?
Well, they live out in the, far away. They live out in the woods. So I guess they're going to be like hunting cats.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah.
They're going to be like feral cats on land hunting mice and hopefully eating ticks because wow.
Yeah.
They will either be feral or dead. It's one of those.
It's
genuinely.
It's not bad.
In the wild.
It's not bad to have a lot of cats around when you live out in the.
No, they have now a dog, 10 or 12 chickens and cats. They're like officially a farm, right? Like that's official.
Yeah. They just need a pig. Also, get a pig and then you're all set.
A pig. Okay.
That'll do, donkey.
Exactly.
She ends this thread. I was like, oh, that's amazing. And she says, come pet them. So when do I tell my friend that I'm allergic?
Yeah.
Like, highly allergic to cats.
Yeah. You just guaranteed I never come to your place.
You just give me 7 reasons to never see you again.
Yes. And I am at Aaron Dicer. So for Deneé Hughes, Ian Whittington, something else, and myself, we will see you next week.
Oh, happy!
Now who forgot what they were doing?
Oh no! Happy day after my birthday.
No, week. It's a week after your birthday.
Oh, happy! Wait. Happy. Happy Friday the 3rd.
Yes, well done.
Wait.
We both nailed that. We won't be re-recording that at all.
Oh, Jesus. Balls have been dropped.
That's amazing.
Oh my god, you guys are really bad at your jobs.
So true. It's so
ready
true.
to throw shade at you as I fuck up my part.
Yeah.
Which I've never officially said I'm doing when Jonathan isn't here. I just have
Aaron,
ended
can you
up doing
prep
it.
us for that?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's all on me. All the balls dropped are on me. My
Also,
balls are dropping all over the place.
Tom is right. I was going to mention this. The podcast is released on Thursdays, not on Fridays. So.
That is true.
Oh, son of a... Happy Thursday the 2nd.